questions over who gave the shoot-to-kill order. Was there a shoot-to-kill order? And was it a show of culpability for security agencies under your command that warranted the presence of the military, the Kenya Defense Forces, to quell the situation?
There was no shoot-to-kill order. And the Interior Minister does not command the operations of the police. This is spelled out in Article 245 of the Constitution in very clear terms.
Safi, karibu tena mtazamaji, hapa ni Bonita Media na kama kawaida kwa majina naitwa Boniface Owino. Wacha nikumbushi tu kwa haraka, ikiwa tunakutana kwa mara ya kwanza, tafadhali naomba uchukue sekunde yako moja ama zako mbili, uende hapo chini kwenye sehemu ya maoni, niambie maoni yako ni gani na unatazama ukiwa wapi. Ikiwa uko Kenya, uko kaunti gani, na ikiwa uko sehemu za nje ya nchi, pia ni vyema sana uniambie uko nchi gani, kisha mambo itakuwa sawa. Vile vile wale ambao wanakuja kwa mara ya kwanza, tafadhali usisahau kubonyeza alama ya subscription ili unipe support yako, kwa sababu nilisema kwamba support yako ndo inafanya channel hii inakuwa jinsi ambavyo inakuwa. Shukrani sana kwa wale pia washanipa support yao, nashukuru sana, nasema ni asante sana 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 tena zaidi. Huu ni mrengo wa kisiasa. Ukitaka kujua kile ambacho kinafanyika nchini Kenya, nani anafanya, inafanyika wapi na imefanyika saa ngapi na ni madhara yake ni gani haswa kwa mwananchi wa kawaida, basi hapa ndipo mahali ambapo unaweza ukakupata kupitia Bonita Media na Boniface Owino. Acha niingia kwenye mjadala wa siku ya leo. Sasa jana kumekuwa na interview, kumekuwa na mjadala mazungumzo baina ya presenters baina ya watu tofauti kutoka media stations tofauti. Kulikuwa na KTN, NTV, Citizen tofauti pale, na K24 pamoja naye Kindiki, that is the deputy president. Na wacha nikwambie kitu moja mtazamaji, kile ambacho umepewa ni vigumu sana kuitetea, kwa sababu haujui ni nini haswa mtu amepitia, ndio maana ukakuwa pale ambapo ulipo. Na ni vigumu sana kujitetea haswa wakati ambapo unajua ya kwamba haya maswali ambayo yanaulizwa ni jukumu langu kuyajibu jinsi ambavyo inastahili, kwa sababu nisipojibu basi makosa bado itazidi kuwa yangu. Sasa mimi sitazungumza sana, acha nitagusia tu alafu nikupe video uyatazame. Swali la kwanza ambalo Rigathi Gachagua ambalo Kindiki aliulizwa, I think aliulizwa aliulizwa na huyu ni journalist wa wapi, sijui ni wa TV station gani. Aliulizwa kwamba are you a yes sir? Are you a yes man? Because according to your predecessor complains and says that the reasons why you decided to be the deputy president is because you are a yes sir. Nataka tusikie jinsi ambavyo Kindiki alijibu.
Your predecessor, Your Excellency, says the reason you ascended to this position is because you are a yes man. You cannot mount any challenge whatsoever to the president. I'm putting this question to you tonight. Are you your own man? Are you a yes man?
I am my own man. On the second issue, I would like to respond as follows. My understanding of the role of the deputy president is not to challenge the president. It is not in the Constitution. It is not in any law. It is not in any practice. That is not the job description of the deputy president. As to whether the deputy president can advise the president, the answer is yes. The oath of office I took has a clause that asks me to faithfully advise the president when my advice is.
Afu mtazamaji, kuendelea bado Kindiki kaulizwa swali ya kwamba how did you assume office? Was there kulikuwa na makaratasi yako yaliangaliwa na IBC, na kama ulikuwa ofisini, je, kulikuwa na proper handover? Yule former deputy president alikupa ofisi officially jinsi ambavyo Uhuru Kenyatta alimpa William Ruto ofisi, kwamba ni hand over sasa ofisi kwako, wewe fanya kazi sasa kama kiongozi. Je, ulifanya hivyo? Sikia anasema kwamba hakuna jinsi ambavyo kitu kama hiyo ingefanyika kwa sababu kesi yake bado iko koti. Sasa
of the matter before court.
So then what's your relationship between you and the ousted, impeached deputy president?
As it was before.
Are you friends or not?
We are good people, we're good friends. I have no reason to complain in the past, present, and even in the future.
Was there a handover?
Yes.
An official handover?
Was there an official handover?
There wasn't an official handover because the former deputy president is in court. You wouldn't expect him to hand over if he's in court.
Your Excellency, which IEBC cleared you? Did you take your papers there? How were you cleared by the IEBC?
There's no requirement to clear a deputy president who has ascends to office by virtue of...
Jambo la tatu, mtazamaji. Nataka tuende polepole tu. Jambo la tatu. Kithure Kindiki anaulizwa kuhusu the 60 people that lost their lives during the demonstrations. Na infiltrators. Anasema kwamba unajua wakati ambapo kulikuwa na maandamano, kulikuwa na wale ambao waliingia katikati kuharibu. Unasikia anaulizwa ya kwamba what is your take, because wakati ambapo ulikuwa CS Interior ulisema kwamba action itachukuliwa kwa the infiltrators. Alafu badala ya kwa assume office of the deputy president hujaziongelea kabisa. Anasema kwamba it is in process.
As Interior CS, where Kenyans feel that you oversaw massive brutality on Kenyans who are expressing themselves when they felt that their leaders were not representing them in the way that they should. Do you take personal responsibility for the murder of 60 people according to the KMCHR?
Well, the violent protest that took place early this year and even earlier on in 2023 unfortunately led to loss of lives. Some of those lives were lost in various ways, including through police action. I have no reason to take responsibility for anything, because the space of violence and encounter with law enforcement is a space which is defined by law. And the role of the Minister for Interior is defined in the Constitution, Article 245, on what that role is. That role includes providing policy guidance to the organs of internal security. The role of police operations are protected through the mandate of independent command of the Inspector General, and therefore police operations, especially in engaging protesters or people who are seen as breaching the peace, is the province for the independent command of the National Inspector General of the National Police Service. As far as I'm concerned, the 2 years I have been the country's Interior Minister, every single day of them, when I woke up to do my work, to make sure that the security organs of our country that protect our country from threats, security threats, perform their work, and should they require any policy guidance, that guidance is provided. And that's all what I can say for now.
So you're saying tonight that you have no say whatsoever when the police misbehave?
The Interior Minister has no role in police operations, according to Article 245.
So you have no say whatsoever when they go wrong as a professor of law?
I have a say, and I said it. And the say is this, that police officers are allowed to use force, including lethal force, in exceptional circumstances. Should any officer violate the strict parameters of those circumstances, they are accountable under the law. And we said many times, not once, not even in the context of the protests alone, but also in the context of the fight against terror and the fight against banditry and other organized crime. that any police officer who uses their firearm lawfully within the Constitution, including lethal force, has legal protection. But so any of them who exceeds the parameters of the Constitution is on their own, and the organs of accountability is not the Interior Minister. It is the agencies such as IPOA and the DPP and the rest.
Sasa nina swali. The infiltrators, anasema kwamba the infiltrators case is in process. Si mara kesi yao imefanywa nini au ni criminals na criminal cases zinachukua muda aziishi haraka. Sasa hapo mimi na swali tu kabla sijaenda sana. Sasa hivi kwa miezi mbili, I think kwa mwezi ngapi? Niseme tu miezi mbili. Kwa miezi mbili sasa hakuja kuwa na CS of Interior. Haya, sasa hivi ndio jina imepelekwa pale parliament, jina Kimani Murkomen. Sasa niambie hii process yote nani ataiangalia? Kwa sababu mtu ambaye alifaa kushughulikia hii issue alikuwa ni Kithure Kindiki, kwa sababu hizi vitu zote zilifanyika wakati ambapo alikuwa CS Interior. Sasa hivi ni deputy president. Of course najua vizuri, hata yeye mwenyewe anajua, hata wewe unajua mtazamaji. Haiwezi akajihusisha na mambo kama haya. That is the naked truth. Kithure Kindiki sasa hivi haiwezi akajihusisha na mambo ya Interior because he will be going overboard. Atakuwa anafanya mambo ambayo hayastahili, mambo si yake. Sasa kitudanganye kwamba the thing is in process, basi itabidi tujiulize maswali mengi sana kuhusu huyu jamaa. Itabidi hapo sasa tujiulize, kwani huyu jamaa anaona sisi ni wapumbavu ama anaona sisi kina naye? Ishaelewa? We, ipo shida. Shida ipo.
So then,
Excellency, the families that were bereaved pleaded with the government of the day to help them with burial expenses. Did that happen? How much was spent? And there was a committal to compensate families that lost their beloved ones. What's the status of that, Deputy President?
To the best of my knowledge, a number of families were given modest ex gratia support on a request basis and on a basis of confidentiality, because what the state does in a situation like that, when there is distress in the country, citizens are facing distress, we go out of our way for ways of supporting. But normally that support is support which, first of all, is not budgeted for, so we have to look for ways of, within the security budget, absorbing some of those costs. And if I recall well, a number of families were supported on an ex gratia basis. The question of compensation is a little more complex and will require guidance, because no law would allow expenditure on compensation for events similar to what we had. I am aware, even in more extreme cases like terrorist-related deaths and injury, it is anticipated that victims of terrorist crimes and other violent acts would be compensated. And I think when we left the ministry, we were trying to develop regulations on the operationalization of Section 49 of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. And I think that can form a basis of thinking how else or in which other circumstances perhaps extreme cases of loss and injury could be compensated. So that's a discussion we are having, and I'm more than willing to follow up. Even in my new role, nothing prevents me from following up and ensuring that in justifiable cases which are defined by law, where injury or loss happens and the law allows, then compensation can ensue.
So this evening you're telling Kenyans that the bereaved families will have to wait longer until the law is developed. And I'm not actually asking for specific families. These are public resources for purposes of accountability. Once again, how much was spent to settle the burial expenses?
I wouldn't know, because it's not, you know, there's no vote called barrier expenses. There's no vote like that. So this is ex gratia support, not just for these cases, many other cases every day that the state deals with are done ex gratia within the security operations budget, and therefore it's not possible to pinpoint this amount was used for burial because of the lack of a specific vote line.
On the time frame for compensation?
What about?
What time can they wait? For how long can the law be developed?
I am not sure, but we will do our best to make sure that cases where we form consensus, national consensus that require compensation are onboarded, because even in the extreme and glaring cases of terrorism, I've told you, it has taken, I think now, quite a number of years since we enacted the Prevention of Terrorism Act to operationalize that section. So I'm hoping perhaps within the year, within the coming year, we can work with the new leadership in that ministry and other stakeholders in the normal way government works and process perhaps regulations of the operationalization of some of these issues. As to whether that can be expanded beyond terrorism-related incidents, that is a discussion again which we can open up to stakeholder input.
Mtazamaji, hayo ndo mambo ambayo nilikuwa nayo kwa sasa. Ningependa nikupe nafasi kwenye simu maoni, nawe pia uniambie maoni yako ni gani na unatazama video hizi ukiwa wapi. Na ningependa tukutane kwenye video ambayo inafuata ikiwezekana. Nimekuwa wako Boniface Owino. Bingo.